Queensland School Leaders. My name's Adam Voigt. I would like to invite you to a really important seminar that I'm going to be running in Brisbane. It's absolutely free. It's going to be on Friday, November 15th at 10 a.m. and it's going to be titled Leading Whole School Behaviour Improvement. What are we going to do on the day? First thing we're going to do is throw a rock, and we're going to throw a rock at the programs and those who market them to you, with a promise that should you implement the program, on the other side of it will be some sort of educational and conduct nirvana, and that never arrives. There have been too many promises made. The most recent ones are all under the guise of the word positive, that tell you that if you implement it, that everybody will conduct themselves differently in your school. It's a false promise. Then we're going to throw a little rock at ourselves for believing it. And that's okay. We're going to forgive ourselves that, because you're incredibly busy and you have wonderful intentions for the young people you work with. Of course, you want to take the shortest route from the current state to the desired state, but it doesn't work. And the reason it doesn't work is because we haven't taken yet the cultural focus that we need to take. So what are we going to do together on the day? We're going to get stuck right into how you can create a culture in your school that encourages people to demonstrate the sorts of behaviours that you're looking for, rather than those that you are currently tolerating. We're going to look at what the thinking is that needs to change in your organisation, both in us and in students. We're going to look at the language that needs to change, because language is the greatest input, but also the output of a great school culture. We're going to look at what practice needs to change, so that your students are sent a very strong message that we are into doing education with them rather than trying to force education upon them. And we're going to look as leaders at what sort of policy we need to write. And we need to stop creating legal loopholes and nooses in our policies where we try to promise outcome based on tiered levels of behaviour, and actually get back to how we can promise about the way we're going to work to parents, and how that can build for our parents a new level of trust that can reposition your school as the relational hub of its community. It sounds kind of exciting, doesn't it? So we're going to have to get really explicit about that work. So you're going to build on the day a roadmap for your school around those 4 key cultural elements, and you're going to take with you a really important white paper, and it's titled Improving Student Behaviour with Slightly Less Difficulty. And we think that they are a couple of resources that alone will be worth the 2-hour investment of your time. But we think you're going to take away a whole heap more than that. It's going to be engaging, it's going to be fun. We've had an outrageous response to our first couple of goes at it. So the good news is that I think I've just about perfected this 2-hour seminar now, and you're going to get the best of it. At the end of this video, you'll see a couple of testimonials from our days in Melbourne and in Sydney. They were our guinea pigs, and you're going to get, like I said, the very best of it. So around this video, wherever you're watching it, either on our webpage or as part of an email, you will find details to be able to register. It is limited. We don't want to have a room that makes it feel like a conference. We want it to feel like a conversation, and we want you to leave with something that's going to have you step onto a brand new horizon for your school. It's exciting. There's a bit of trepidation about it, but if you'll step into this opportunity with me, I think it's going to be a day that you're very much going to enjoy and that you won't regret. I'm really excited. We've had so many school leaders tell us that they want this event in Queensland, and I'm rapt and excited to be bringing it to you. I plan on putting on a really good one. All right, I'll see you in Brisbane. So Tom, thanks very much for coming along, mate. Really appreciate you being here today. Can you tell me what was the, what was the number one takeaway from you for today?
I guess the approach with restorative practice, the actual classroom practice, and what you can take away as a tool for teachers to use tomorrow, next week, next term, is something that will actually impact on the students. I think it's so important that kids have a good mindset going into a classroom, otherwise teaching and learning just doesn't exist.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I like that. The idea of focusing on impact rather than just what we do.
Exactly.
What does what we do
And I think how you mentioned the fact that the teachers are with the kids, we're doing education together. It's not me telling you what to do, I'm doing it with you.
Yep.
That's something really resonated with me from today.
So what was the experience like for you with a couple of hours in the room today?
I wish it went longer. It was on the money. I was sitting there going, yep, that makes sense, that works, I understand. So yeah, I wish it went all day, even though it's the holidays, but yeah, no, it was really good.
I think that understanding thing is really important for teachers, isn't it? Not just here, do this, but actually let's help people to understand it.
Yeah, and that's something that really I took away from today, was the fact that a mindset shift for teachers. It's not, here's a tool, go and implement a program. It's a whole shifting culture across the school. And I think that's something that's really big, because so many schools implement a program, go off and do it, instead of a shift in mindset and culture to actually model to the kids what we want them to do instead of telling them what to do.
Makes a lot of sense, mate. Thanks so much for coming along, Tom.
Thank you,
really
mate.
appreciate it.
Okay, Caroline, thanks for coming along today to our Sydney event for Leading Whole School Behaviour Improvement. Just a couple of words, how did you find the morning?
Oh, it was great. It's a really informative, fun session. The guys are really approachable. It was great to be able to have the conversation back and forth about different things that are happening in our school and ways that we can address change and get some better culture building in our school happening.
Yeah, great. Good on you. Now, Adam moved pretty fast through the couple of hours there. Lots of information.
Absolutely.
Just tell me a little bit about the roadmap. Do you think it's something of use for you when you go back to your school?
Oh, absolutely. So we'll take this back and look at it in our executive meetings and sort of look at the changes that we need to make and little tweaks we need to make to get some more positive culture happening in the school, and certainly even looking at policy with the view of, rather than what the outcomes are, what the process is that we're going to go through to actually get to the place that we want to be for our kids in our school.
Interesting, because it is. We talked a lot today about the process, isn't it? Yes. More so than necessarily the outcome and the policy, and how we actually get there. So it's great. Look, if I was just to ask you one more question, biggest takeaway, what's the thing that you're going to walk out of this door today with and be able to walk back into your school and say, hey, what about this?
I think the positivity, I think, coming out of today is that whole can-do attitude, and that there's these little tiny changes, and the language that we use can be changed so simply, and it can make such a big impact on the kids and the way that we interact with them and they interact with us. So I think that would be our main thing.
Great, thanks a lot. Great effort this morning. Appreciate you coming along.
No worries, thank you.